Breaking overnight for the second time just this week, authorities make a large marijuana bust at the airport.
News Channel 5's Dan Kennedy shows us where the drugs were coming from.
Earlier this week, we told you about a 25-pound pot bust here at the airport. Now we're talking about 40 pounds found here at baggage claim yesterday. That in street value worth is $100,000 worth of drugs stuffed into two different suitcases. Now, in both of these cases this week, the luggage was coming from Seattle, Washington. DEA agents received information that two bags were flying here with drugs. The person that checked the luggage in Seattle never even boarded the flight. Instead, police say Willie James Wilson waited for the bags at baggage claim here in Nashville, and authorities were waiting on him. He was arrested after picking up those bags. Wilson told DEA agents and airport detectives he was paid $1,500 to retrieve that luggage. That's a whole lot less than what his bond is set now. He's booked into jail on a $100,000 bond. Reporting from the Nashville International Airport, Dan Kennedy, News Channel 5.
Dan, thank you. Also breaking this morning, a man is rushed to the hospital after he was hit by a car. The crash happened at about 5 o'clock at Nolensville Pike and Harding Place in South Nashville. We're still working to find out how badly the man was hurt. It is unclear if the driver will face any charges. A man accused in multiple armed robberies here in the Mid-State and then evading police for days has now been brought to Davidson County to face charges here. And News Channel 5 Sophie Nielsen-Colding live at the Metro Bond Office for us this morning. And Sophie, I understand he was on the TBI's most wanted list at one point.
Yes, law enforcement in different counties wanted him for crimes they say he committed there. So he's just been making his way around. Now he's in Davidson County to face the crimes that police say he committed while he was here. We're talking about 42-year-old Dwayne Halfacre. He was wanted in 3 counties in 2 states to be exact. Halfacre and another man, Timothy Howell, who was also already arrested, were wanted for several armed robberies, including one in South Nashville in December. This happened at a Delta Express on Old Hickory Boulevard. The two men held up a clerk at gunpoint. Police say Halfacre and Howell were also both behind an armed robbery in Smyrna back in January. You may remember this one. They went to an Almaville market near Smyrna with 2 handguns and were captured doing so on surveillance video, led up to a big search for the 2 men involving law enforcement. Now here in Davidson County, Halfacre is facing 8 charges this morning. 3 of them are for aggravated robbery. I'm in Davidson County. Sophie Nielsen-Colding, News Channel 5.
Missing for nearly 2 weeks and now feared dead. Police in Gallatin think they found the body of a missing mother in the burned remains of a fire. 46-year-old Letitia Lane was last seen with her ex-boyfriend James Vaughn. On March 16th, Vaughn was shot and killed by officers in Clarksville after a standoff with police. Police were there to ask him about Letitia's whereabouts, and yesterday a body believed to be hers was discovered in the rubble of a burned barn in Gallatin. Metro police say they're nearly certain it's Letitia, but her family told us they're waiting to see dental records before they're certain it is her.
And new this morning, a barricade situation in Clarksville ended peacefully, and now that suspect is behind bars. It happened on Francesca Drive last night. A witness told police he went to check on his neighbor, Joseph Dunn. The neighbor says Dunn came to the door with a gun, told him to leave, and then fired the weapon. Police say negotiators were able to convince Dunn to surrender after about 3 hours. He's charged with reckless endangerment. We have new information surrounding a former judge now facing federal charges. A woman who worked alongside Judge Casey Moreland for years has now pleaded guilty to 2 felonies. Nan Casey was arrested last week for embezzling money from the County Drug Court Foundation and destroying documents to cover up the crime. The drug court was overseen by then Judge Moreland, who now faces 10 federal charges, including obstruction of justice and theft.
New this morning, multiple agencies worked to end a drug trafficking operation in Putnam County. Investigators say on Wednesday, agents set up a surveillance of a hotel in Cookeville where an active warrant was known to stay, a man with active warrants. During the operation, police say they found marijuana, scales, packaging materials, and 2 guns inside this guy, Billy White's hotel room. Kenneth Bayless and Charlinda Turner, who were added to the pictures here, they were also arrested in connection with this case. A Mid-State man is accused of grabbing an elderly man off his own front porch and pushing him into his home. McMinnville police say it happened at a home on Winton Street early this morning. Officers say Ryan Malone approached 83-year-old Royal Cravens. Now, Malone was reportedly rambling about some pretty bizarre events when he grabbed Cravens and forced him inside his home. Malone was eventually arrested and charged with aggravated burglary.
2 police officers injured during a chase in Laverne earlier this week have now been identified. They say officers Joe Timpson and Sebastian Kraus were hurt as they were chasing Majibu Kasesa on Tuesday. Both are now home after receiving medical treatment. Kasesa was eventually taken into custody and then later released from the Rutherford County Jail on bond. Here's a cool Flashback Friday picture for you. The Tennessee Highway Patrol tweeted this one out yesterday for Throwback Thursday.
This was taken in the early 1950s as troopers raided an illegal gambling operation. How cool is this? All this time later, the volunteer state still has some of the strictest gambling laws in the entire nation.